What's up, everybody? It's episode 170. Aaron's here. I'm here. Chat, kind of here. They'll come in. PetToday.com for all of your testing needs. Use code #ShitHappens with the exclamation point and the hashtag for $5 off the crypto panel. And you know you need it because you know you're getting into hognose. And then a lot of you freaks don't know about it yet. So just go ahead and vettoday.com, please. Thank you. See more people getting into hognose this week than ever before. I'm like, what the heck? We'll get into that. All right, Shane Kelley, small town exotics, ball pythons, hognose, boas. And his update for the week was he just hatched shrapnel clowns. So that's very cool. So I don't know if he's released pictures publicly.
Where's the pics?
Secret. I'll spoil it. They look like acid clowns or confusion clowns, sort of, not all the way. But they, if they eat, clearly superior alternative to acid confusion. Just saying. Sorry. Bravo Zulu about pythons. Eileen, she has a busy, crazy November. Good for her. Midwest Reptile Show at the Indiana State Fairgrounds on the 3rd. St. Louis and the RBC on the 8th through the 10th. And the Show Me at Fort Wayne, Indiana on the 16th. Very cool. Check her out there. Stoneage ball pythons. I didn't get an update from Justin, but I'm sure he's living his best life breeding ball pythons in the Pacific Northwest. He doesn't have too many clutches coming, but it's mostly clown pied stuff. So if you're into clown pied stuff, check out Justin Brill of Stoneage ball pythons. Powerhouse pythons. Andrew, he's into ball pythons, leopard geckos, rodents, gopher cocoa, and other fun rare species. He said the Hillsborough show was good. He started 2025 pairings, and he's going to the Canova open house this weekend, and will be on the auction 2 weeks from now, November 9th, with Anthony of Reptile Creations. We're going to try one. If it's good, you might get more. If it's not good, you get spanked. And we delay. I was, and other people have asked me, and I'm like, I don't want to be embarrassed publicly. So if people turn out, maybe there will be more. If not, maybe next year. Great Family Snakes, very coolly, awesomely, they decided to install a Sanzania breeding cooler into their living room. Sort of like a giant wine fridge. And I was like, very metal.
Really cool.
Congratulations. I hope they become Sanzania kings and queens. That would be really awesome.
That'd be epic. Not for Canada, because we can't transport them here, but
just if we could have a bunch.
They're like CITES 1 or 2, or phase 1 or 3, right? So we don't get them.
Yeah, sorry. And Chris at BS Reptilia, he'll be at the Gettysburg Reptile Expo November 9th. So check him out. He's got Pituophis boas, ball pythons, and they will slowly make their way to Morph Market when he feels like taking pictures. And brother, I feel ya. I am the worst. I had the same person ask me why I haven't posted boa pictures yet. And I'm like, I'm thinking about just live streaming the tubs. I open the tubs. Just be like, do you want one of these?
Just make a YouTube video, just like B-roll.
Yeah, God. It's kind of what I did at the reptile show. I was like, if anybody wants any of this, here it all is again. But maybe I should have done that more. What's up, Autumn Leaves, Northwest? Yes. Aaron. Sand boas. Ball python 9.
Sand boas.
All right.
Frog nose. All the cool stuff.
Oh, God. So this is sort of in lieu of the real stock report, but largely the correct prices for things have been obscured by auctions and the sale function on Morph Market. So
there's no point in scraping data anymore?
Yeah, kind of. I'll probably scrape it at the end of the fourth quarter and just see if I can pile real prices together. But
sure, that'd be good. You can get a whole year's worth, right?
Well, I have the first half of the year. But largely, like 50 to 60% of the units of a particular morph sold in a quarter now are sold on auction or on sale function. But I can't tell which one's sale function unless I remember, which sometimes I do because I'm weird. But I don't think the values I'm getting are good anymore.
Well, that's probably, I'm not surprised, right? People have fuddled, they kind of figured out how to fiddle with it, right? To obscure sale prices, like actual prices, right? There's someone who literally just puts everything on hold and never marks anything sold.
Right, but is that good?
I don't know. I don't know what the purpose is. It sounds like just a nightmare to me.
And then puts them all on hold and deletes them?
No, just leaves them on hold for like ever.
Maybe that's why we have 39,000 ball pythons on Morph Market.
Because my friend who bought one like 6 months ago, it's still on hold.
Well, remember they did the bulk deletes or whatever for the 20.
They'll do it again, January.
Yeah. When they do the 22s, that will knock up a bunch down, actually.
Yeah.
I think about it a lot, but what do you think the real inventory number is on Morph Market?
On Morph
I think
Market?
It's like half.
Because we're not even including we've said the 2022s that can all go away. No, it's probably around like 25 to 30%.
You think?
Fake.
So there's like real inventory and there's like actively managed inventory. So like the other ones may be real, but like that person hasn't updated the pictures. It's all whatever. So it's like 2 years old, same stuff. And then you're like, that animal could be there, but they literally don't pay attention to it. So like, how would you know? But in terms of actively managed inventory, I think that's like 10,000 listings.
Right. I do think that's probably closer to that number.
Right.
Maybe a little higher, but yeah, give or take.
And that's the amount that we turn over regularly.
That's what we turned over this year, right?
Yeah. So then I'm like, maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe nothing matters but the comps, but then you can't see the comps. So like everyone is like hurting themselves, in my opinion. But anyway, Mark's here for coffee and we'll catch replay. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, thanks, Mark.
And auctions, Palm Street, and other rates to the bottom tactics have crushed the market. So I think, we'll get into it, but there will be a turning point where people are like, man, I don't need to do auctions.
That's when Darren already turned them off from the extra purchases. So you only get them based on your tier now again.
Right, but I think the crybabies are demanding more again.
Tell them to pay $5,000 a year. I mean,
oh shit! Yeah, it's back. They can buy it again.
Oh, it's back. Okay.
Yeah.
I was keeping up.
All right. Well, we'll get into it, but before we even start, obviously snakes are not stocks. They decrease in value on like an individual basis. They aren't collectibles, which usually also increase in value.
But they recreate themselves.
So they're more like a cow or something to me. Livestock.
Yeah.
Which you can depreciate livestock like it's a car as it gets older.
You can, but that's a weird area because snake farming isn't well recognized by that yet.
Correct. But like that's the best asset analogy is a livestock animal, which makes sense because it's an animal.
Yes.
But we're doing songs because they have funny idioms and words. And I think it's funny.
It is fun.
Aaron says it's back. Snake X says hello. Yeah, I still sell snakes on Morph Market too, regular, but there's a lot. Just looking at the comps, which I do. Most people are selling most of their snakes on auction.
Yeah, I've heard from a few people say that they were still selling them. Depends on like what Beast Mode just said. It's multiple animals, cheaper animals that they just want to move. I said I was at Corey Woods' house, and he's like, he's just been pushing breeder size females, breeder girls that he needs to get rid of. He doesn't want to be stuck with them for 2025, right? He needs that bin space. So he just puts them all, he's put them all on the auction. So it's been great for him.
Well, let's get into it.
Yeah.
I go over this one all day. All right. Wow. Okay. We talked about this a little bit in the pre-show, but the first idiom is time in the market beats timing the market. And with this, and also all of these things are for both species and morph in some ways. So we can debate the veracity of whether or not it applies better to a species or a morph within a species. But I think that if you just have a bunch of species through time, you're better equipped to pivot or grow certain species colonies in your collection when they become randomly popular 5 years in the future than someone who is always jumping from species to species to chase popularity. What do you think about that?
Well, I agree on that sentiment. Like time in the market beats time in the market. You can't time when something's become popular. We can look at 2 instances of that. Like DG was been around for 15 years, and then all of a sudden around 2020, it shot to the moon, right? And same as chocolate. Chocolate, like clowns were made and everyone went nuts, but chocolate had been around forever. And so if you're just in the market, you can't time when that's going to happen, right? So you have to do it by just being in the market. And I think the other part of that is, other than just having, a spike, it's if you're in the market for a long period of time, longevity, you're just going to beat out your competition by lasting longer. You've got your set mature females and males. Your projects are moving. You got pieces you're putting together. You're always taking steps to that project, right? You don't have to start a new project or anything. So that's where I think that matters.
Yeah, a lot of people jump projects really fast. And I think that's why things are out of fashion before the females potentially that were bought for that project have even grown up enough to breed.
Correct.
In ball python, which I think is not good.
And the prices drop before the product's even seen an ounce of popularity.
Right. No one's actually executed except for the initial first person. So that's why just having morphs of a particular species or lots of species before it becomes popular, because you just already like it and you will sell it for $40 or $4,000. You just like it and you're working it and you're enjoying it. If the blessings come to you, great. If not, whatever, you like it.
Yeah, you always talk about have to like it because you're slinging that snake poop all by yourself, so you better like where it's coming from. If you don't like looking at it and you're like, these things are just whatever. It's like if everyone went out and started buying kukri snakes, those things are just demons. Like it's like, oh, these are popular, let's all go buy these. No, you'd be like, I'm tired of these in 3 weeks.
Yeah, well, there's the verses. So like some cost fallacy is where somebody holds on to something too long because they've invested too much time or energy into it, even though they know they already don't want to do it. They think that they should like tough it out. So the sunk cost fallacy is that you delay making an action because you think you have too much built into it already.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, it doesn't seem like it would be contradictory, but it is, because like in this scenario, you should get out of stuff quickly because you don't like it. And this is like keep what you like long term, which they're kind of contradictory, but kind of not. So yes, if you don't like it, you should get rid of it as fast as possible.
I agree with the sunk cost fallacy too. Like sometimes you gotta have it. Like even if you spend $1,000 on a snake and it became worth, let's say, $100, it's like, oh, I'm never going to recover that money. That's what people think. But the thing is, even if you keep it, you're not recovering that $1,000. Like there's no guarantee you're going to recover that $1,000. There's, you can get out and then put something else in there that does better for you or does something that you enjoy more. That's a better species. Like if you put 10 grand into ball pythons and then get out at 5,000, doesn't matter. You can put hognoses in your collection instead, and you'll enjoy yourself a lot better. We talked about, right? Enjoy, keep what you like, and maybe you'll just do better on that species.
Sometimes I agree. Sometimes I think that's wrong. Like, people should keep some members of the original species because they obviously liked it a little bit.
Sure, you can play around with that. Like, what do you mean by getting out? It just mean by
they could reduce their position.
Yeah, that's totally legit.
to the particular animals that they love the best in that species. You know how many times I've had people be like, I used to breed so many corn snakes. I don't breed any now. I don't give a fuck.
Right, because the test scores all dropped.
Yeah. I hear that constantly down here because everyone, this was like a whatever, you know, a big speculative tessera bubble in the South, apparently middle, whatever the fuck. And they all just ran to the ground and just moved on to another species. I think that is, let's go big screen for this one. Hot garbage bullshit. Fuck you. God. Sorry.
It is hot garbage bullshit. Like,
you don't love the species. You love the species enough to like drive it into the ground, get your pay, but you couldn't keep a couple just to make pets for kids or something.
Well, you can't just keep the first one you produce, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, fuck those people. I'm sorry. So that's why when people's species jump a lot, it makes me a little sensitive because I'm like, do you love anything or do you just love money? You know what I mean?
Some of them just love money.
Yeah, and some of them I think they're finding the species that's right for them, so it's not
that's
about
also okay,
money.
but it's weird that if you're a snake lover and you go, I see lots of people come in like, oh, I got ball pythons, and then like, oh, you know what, I really love boas, and they get on ball pythons, like, but you didn't even keep the first one that got like you were interested in that got you keep snakes in general, the first ball python. Sometimes they do, and they keep the one, right, which is fine, but it's different. I'm happy when people find their own passion, whatever it may be. If it's boas, corn snakes, hognoses, Sanzinia, it doesn't matter. Just keep snakes.
Yeah. And then, like, to some extent, people have to jump from species to species for that species to, like, hit the sort of market penetration it really needs to be for how desirable it is. So then it's probably natural. I just, like, makes me think you don't actually like anything.
Sure.
That's what it makes me think.
But we're on topic now. Oh, there we go. The first
Here we
species, the only free lunch. I'll let you explain that one.
So I don't sorry, I think you want a Nobel Prize too. Economists said this, and some people disagree with this, is that any dum-dum who's well diversified in either assets or whole asset classes. So you could have a broad-based stock portfolio that's just like an index fund, or lots of different kinds of assets like whatever, gold, crypto, collectibles, real estate, stocks, bonds. What else is an asset? I don't fucking know. Commercial real estate too. Some of those will be winners, some of those will be losers. And because you are so broadly based, you will probably do okay. You don't have to be smart enough to pick winners because people are actually really bad at picking winners.
Yeah. It's like a 2%.
So in either species that have morphs, you could have lots of morphs, lots of kinds of morphs. So you're not a hyper specialist. You just are you're dabbling in many kinds of things. Or you could have many kinds of species. Because you don't know which ones are going to be the best at a show. You don't know which ones are going to do good online only. You're just trying it all because you're trying to sell to pet people, advanced keepers, and like breeder type people. That, I think, I'm in. And I know some people are hyper specialists. And that can work too.
Would you, when you say hyper specialist, do you only mean on species or including morphs? Or
like even including morphs, which I think is real dumb.
I think that's harder to do. You can't do that anymore. When there was only 12 of them, you could. Like there was, I don't know if they're still in operation, but there was albinoballpython.com. They just did albino ball pythons, right? But then other stuff, like you can't just make a living at that at some point, right? Like you couldn't just do that.
Yeah, there was the boa equivalent. Rich Isle had salmonboa.com.
Yeah, that's because he found it. The
No,
salmon.
he didn't.
No, he didn't find the salmon. Who did the salmon?
He just like got one because like the hypo is naturally occurring in Panama. I
Correct.
think he got one, but other people got one too at the exact same time. So his line became salmon. Everyone else's was
Right, that's
hypo.
what I meant. He
Yeah,
named,
he
that was his line.
founded.
That's what I meant. His line was a salmon line, but all
Sorry.
hypo, all salmon are hypo, but not all hypo are salmon. But that, as soon as that stuff doesn't really work, right? Because as soon as you get, once it gets into the general public and they start breeding into every normal they can to make more, people just start calling them all, like the nice ones, all salmon. It doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't mean anything. Once it's out in the masses, it doesn't mean anything anymore.
Right. You used to get like a little birth certificate that it was a Rich Isle special, only from Rich Isle. You remember that? Like,
probably, but like it didn't matter, right? Because why am I going to spend $1,000 on a salmon when I buy hypo for $500 and get a similar, very similar looking animal from it?
Yeah.
Like very similar. Salmons weren't that hot.
Right. There's like that's why sometimes I'm like, there are things like that happening right now. Like there's in the future, there are things that are premiumly priced now that once that person gets out or their morphs get spread all about too much, I don't know if they'll be premium priced anymore. They'll just be regular priced.
I think it's really hard to do with morphs. I think it's easier to do with like lineages with certain species, like carpet pythons, like the screaming yellows.
Or cover girl.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
stuff like that kind of made it easier.
Yeah.
Because it's more apparent in the actual visual of the animal, right?
Yes, because you're buying a phenotypic difference that matters in selective breeding, which I think people will pay for, even if it's not associated with a line name. If it looks like a fucking banger example for boas, they'll pay a lot more.
Yeah. Yes.
I like Hollis says small collections are harder to diversify with, I think, unless you buy a few really expensive stacked snakes, and then they have diversity in goods sold, which is true. But I think in terms of like keeping a collection of animals going through time, you either need to be very diverse morph-wise within one species or have lots of species.
Agreed. I think it's one or the other. And with that said, if you decide to do a lot of species, you may have to you might have to change how you sell stuff, right? You might have to be really know a lot of wholesalers or be careful with what you're breeding. They're two different businesses, in my opinion, right? Two different business models.
They're two different business models, but they have like the same problems.
They have very similar problems, yeah.
Yeah, and people are like, no, they're totally different. What's perfect? I'm like, no, actually, they're almost the same. Like you can overbreed a morph and you can overbreed a species.
Yes.
It's almost the same.
Yes.
All right. You explain what this is to people.
Black Swan events are an event that just happens unpredictably that affects the global economy. Like COVID-19 is considered a Black Swan event. The housing.
It could also be like so that happens to you personally. Like
it could
get a car accident at 23 and you're disabled for the rest of your life.
It could, yes, but I don't want to wish harm on anyone here, Jessica.
Well, what's interesting about these is because the Romans didn't used to think black swans even existed. So like, fuck, dude, it's a black swan.
Yeah. So these obviously, and to be fair, because they're black swan events, they are always generally negative events. They're not positive events.
They could be. The pandemic was positive for the ball python community, so it was a black swan event.
It had more negative effects afterwards. It was positive for every economy for 18 months.
Yeah.
But that was everyone, in the rest of the world, everyone knew that was going to come to an end and that we were going to pay for it in some way, right?
Yeah, I think the color has it gives it a negative connotation, but I don't know if it has to be negative.
But I think the event is meant as in it's negative, going forward, because it's supposed to have recurring effects for years, right, on the economy.
Right.
And then immediate, very easily could be good.
Yeah. And then people will make up stories about how they saw that coming or something. Afterwards, there's lots of like hand weaving and
Hindsight
rationalizing,
2020.
or like 9/11.
Yeah, 9/11 is considered a Black Swan event. Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of people make up a lot of stuff, but I think how this applies to the reptile hobby is a lot of people were like, man, I knew exactly what I was doing. I'm so fucking smart. I know how to breed ball pythons perfectly. And then they like, I go full time in the pandemic.
They also
Were you
were
that
breeding
smart, or
like,
you just like get lucky?
well, the problem with some of that is like some of those breeders got really lucky. Like their first couple of years that maybe bred in clutch in 2019. COVID happens, they kept breeding, they see this spike in 2021, even they're like, oh my god, this is real, this is the way it works. But it's not. Nobody gives a shit about your super fires in 2023.
Right. So there's a little bit of like, the Black Swan event confused the market, and confused it for rare species too, by the way. Like there's a lot of stuff that was price spiked that maybe should have been, maybe shouldn't have been. Is still expensive post-pandemic that it wasn't before.
Like what? Do you have a specific?
White lips, doomerals, Amazon tree boas, caribos,
Amazons?
dry marcon, all of that's
Amazons
more
are
expensive
like
now.
$70.
Garter snakes, yeah, they were $70.
They should still be $70.
They
The
are
Amazon
cool
tree
if they're like captive bred, multiple
Okay.
generations. They don't have worms.
they're $200.
Maybe $400.
No, I don't.
Come on.
So I have that personal opinion is like when we have to breed something like that, we can't. If you want to bring in, talk about market penetration, you can't penetrate that market if wild caughts are $70 and you want $400 or $500. The average person who might want to keep one is not going to spend $400 or $500.
That is true.
But
That's why I'm really
buy
confused right
200.
now by the post-pandemic Amazon tree boa price.
Yeah, they might buy one for $200 though, which is competitive with the wild caughts. And you could start getting more captive bred into people's collections and realize they're not all jerks. Well, they all kind of are, but
I think there's like artificial scarcity on morph market in some of the rare species categories that confuses people. What do you think about that theory? Like they'll be like, fuck, there's no Chinese king rats. There's none in the whole hobby. And I'm like, there's multiple clutches a year. Just wait.
Yes.
And they're like,
morph market is skewing people's minds. It is too much. People are too hyper focused on what is on or off morph market.
Right. They want infinite inventory at all times. Otherwise, they think it's rare.
And it's good. It's a good basis for a lot of things. But like, other than maybe ball pythons, I don't know about all the other species, but ball pythons, it's pretty good for a lot of information. But like most other people don't sell their species on that website, right? Maybe crescent crickets are also good. But I look around for other species and you see like 7. And I'm like, okay, well, I know there's more than that. I know there's more people in that. Like,
right.
Alone.
And most of them get sold on tables or by old guys on fauna classifieds, or like most of my rare species sell somewhere else too, just because like, Instagram or whatever. So like, I think it makes people think things are rarer than they are just because there aren't 39,000 listings.
Yeah.
Correct.
And then they complain that, one's saturated, now they see none, and they're like, it's only extremes, right? It can't just be happy medium.
Right. Eileen thinks Dominican red mountain boas should be less cheap.
Probably. They're not bred en masse.
They're bred more than they're bred less than some of the things that I think people think are rare. Like doomerals boas or whatever.
I know people that buy them, but I think most of them just go to pet homes, right? As something like a cool snake for
Who, doomerals?
Or no,
Dominican red mountain.
Dominican reds. We don't see a lot of doomerals. I don't know the market really because again, they're like a CITES 1 or 3, so we can't import them into Canada. So they're here, they're I do see them, but nobody really keeps them and produces them. It's a weird species. They're pretty,
harder to breed.
But they're very pretty. They're very cool. They get big, pretty docile. But nobody, even in the States, I've never seen anyone like really be hammered down and be like, I'm a doomerals boa guy. Like
that's all they do?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always a side quest for somebody.
People always move on from them. They're like, ah.
Yeah, they used to be like $80 20 years ago, which was like a little bit more expensive than a baby regular boa at the time, which I thought was like fine, like because they were more common then. But I think they're about as common. It seemed like they went away, but they feel as common now as they were then. And then I'm like, they don't need to be 400. They could probably be like $200 with like inflation accounting into the price.
Right.
That'd be fine.
But I'm assuming the Dominican red, like why people are selling breeders off or whatever, could be that the Tom Crutchfield effect wore off. He's like, hey, look at this one really, really red one, and then everyone went nuts for them, right?
Do you think they're depressed they bought the gray ones?
Mm-hmm.
I like gray.
Yeah, but you're weird.
I sure am.
I know what you like to keep. You're weird.
Okay,
fuck. So I like caliber burrowing pythons.
All right, this is
only knife.
Yeah, this is a problem we're in now, where people are like, I don't want to buy anything because the price is still falling on it. Which is, people don't know when to invest on a downswing because they're trying to time the market instead of being in the market, and so they don't want to. They want to wait until it bottoms.
And they think they'll make $1 million off the bottom. Yeah.
Right, and then a dead cat bounce. That's where people are investing, as seems like it's getting ready to go back up, the stock, and it's actually just coming up a little bit before like crashing anyway, because there's a little bit of like maybe some good news gets released.
Most people that invest, like I like my background is finances. Most people that invest, especially do self-investment, like during COVID, when it started and the market tumbled, then it went back up. Everyone was buying in at the top, right? They already missed the boat. As soon as it was up again, a few days, you already missed the boat. You have to be at the bottom, which is why you can't time the market. You never know when the bottom is. That's kind of part of it, right? You don't know when the bottom is.
Right. Did I make one for So this is the answer to
we
that.
Did talk about it. Yeah.
Is dollar cost averaging. To get your cost basis, whatever, cheaper. Like if you bought in pre-pandemic, buy in post-pandemic, buy better. You do have to the hardest thing for me right this second is it's really hard to sell adult females right now, but I'm trying to raise the floor of different species and change, but then nobody wants them. So then you're like, well,
that's what Forward Motion just talked about, right? He's like, it's time to invest because he got breeder ultra girls for the price of hatching girls. That's why it's hard to sell some stuff, right? Either the breeders are going for the same price as babies.
Yeah, that is happening a lot. Yeah. Like you want to get your cost basis refixed to post-pandemic times anyway, in whatever way you can. And the other way to fix a cost basis in a project is just to breed it yourself, because then your cost per unit is averaged out with the cost of production.
Yes.
I think people forget that sometimes.
Well, this is the type of stuff that if you want to run a business, you kind of have to think about. And I know it's live animals and people don't want to assign these dollar costs and these dollar numbers to animals. But if you've chosen to do it as a business, you can't get away from it. You have to do it in some capacity. You can still care about your animals. Like I love my snakes, but I'm not ashamed of the fact that they make some money. And some people feel like they're ashamed or they should be shamed for being okay with, hey, I sold a snake for $1,000 and I'm happy I made $1,000 off a snake. Shouldn't be.
There is part of the hobby that doesn't like talking about money at all in any capacity.
Well, we were on the catch a fallen knife, right? That's the idea of not buying a stock or a morph while it's falling, while the price is falling, right? Don't catch
because it could keep falling below you.
You're going to cut yourself. And it's funny because Justin talked about this on an interview. He said he made the comment that you should either buy at the top before the knife falls or buy at the bottom, right?
Why the fuck would you buy at the top? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Well, because if you bought it at the top, and he means the top, like for a fact this is one of the first ones released.
Oh, you mean buy it first, not at the peak.
Yeah. He means buy it early. Not the hype. He means buy it before, like he obviously gets offered stuff. He even mentioned, I think in that one, he was offered a GHI male for $5,000 before it took off, right? Before the top popularity, and he passed on it. And they went to like $15,000, right? After that. So he's talking like buy it then, and then or buy near the bottom, because then when you buy near the bottom, it's kind of diversified for you. You can buy an animal that fits your projects better. Like Stranger's probably the most recent one that happened. And it's like now you can get, if you're into hypo clowns, you can buy Stranger's double hats or Stranger's clowns het hypo way easier than you could 3 years ago. You couldn't get it, right? It was Stranger clown or you got nothing.
The problem is, like, I don't know how many people can trash to cash morph. Like Justin can, but can other people?
Only if you have enough cash.
Yeah, or the right collection depth or whatever.
Right, which is, it's not always right. I've talked about that with other people. Like, you have to be really honest with yourself and say, like, do I have the females to support a $10,000 male right now? And the answer can easily be no, and maybe you just need a $5,000 male. Not to say you couldn't make money off a $10,000 male, because you probably would if it bred, but you wouldn't maximize it. You wouldn't get everything you needed to go.
Right,
like,
but I guess what we're talking about is, like, if you're buying a morph in a morph species that has bottomed, basically it's at its pet price. You may not, even if you bred it to a DG puzzle, like, no one will care that you hit it in the DG puzzle because you aren't somebody important enough to deserve it.
Yeah, you have to be careful with that.
Yeah.
But that's
So,
where
like,
you have to be honest with yourself on, like, were you ready for this project, right? The weird world we live in.
Yeah, it's fine. That's just like a morph thing. And then Ash says, we need to get more people interested in Ash Ketchum. Snakes, reptiles, by influencing or just showing how cool the animals are as pets. I think the pet market is really where it's at now. And Lilac agrees. And I think I'm at that point now, because I think a lot of this stuff is really stupid. I mean, I like it, but it's also stupid. It's sort of like the ultimate hubris.
Yes. But Ash is right. I did my own little catch up of the CRV on YouTube, and we had a discussion. I talked to a bunch of breeders I know that were vending, and over the 2-day show, they sold upwards of like 20 snakes, right? Like every ball python person sold double-digit snakes. And it was all pet stuff. Mostly it was all 250 and under, 250 and under, 250 and under. So it's all pet people coming in and buying up all this stuff, which is great because that's the biggest base of keepers. And then it kind of grows up from there, right?
Correct. Yeah, that's all I'm selling. Anywhere. I might sell one snake to a baby breeder every third show or something. But
right. They're coming. They'll be here in about 18 months.
Right. So I don't think people should give up on, like, their projects or whatever. But I don't know. I used to be like, your byproduct should be your pet stuff. I kind of agree with that theory. Now I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if byproduct is your pet stuff theory makes sense. That some of them need to be optimized for pet people.
In what way? What do you mean optimized?
Like I just bought a super banana clown male. They'll all be all bananas.
So you mean a breeder has to optimize to make
not the whole collection,
not the whole collection, but what they want on their table, right? You know,
right. So at these little rinky-dink shows where the first little child person couple, 20-something couple wants a pet, let's get them the pet that they want.
Right. So you're saying super banana clown, you could have, like, let's say 2 or 3 het clown females. You get, 10 to, let's call 15 eggs that'll all be bananas, het clown or banana clowns, and they'll be all pet. Essentially, you bred for it, which I think is fine. I definitely think optimizing for that kind of thing is totally legit and totally fine. You just have to you have to be generally a show person to do that, and that's fine. I know you are.
Yeah.
But other people,
I breed corn snakes. I have to be a show person.
But I mean, if people are like, well, I'm just going to sell on Morph Market and IG because I want to elevate, I'm going to do this. It's like, well, that's...
Thanks, buddy.
I'm like, well, that's probably not what you want to do, right? But super banana clown.
Yeah, I don't think they should do that online.
Yes.
Because people have already done that and, like, made millions of bananas for online sales only. And then you're just, like, competing banana to banana. Like, what's the difference?
Right. Bananas are so wild to me, man. They are super popular in pets, and then like the high end market just loves them too. In the mid breeder market, nobody wants banana.
Yes, I know it's only making pets, but that's the point, right?
Right, but
Maybe
that's
somebody would want like the female banana, because I could make like GHI black pastel banana clowns technically if I
sure, but
wanted to.
you could put that on your table. Like you could do a pairing for that kind of thing. And what it does is it gives you that breeder credibility that like you're like he makes other breeders give like they give you respect because like, oh, look how cool stuff you made. It's a weird way the world works in, but it's 100% true. You
Right.
need
So like
street
it
cred.
doesn't have to be all lame.
Yeah,
No
you need
offense.
street cred.
Right. And I have other clutches that won't be like that. But since I have a lot of het clown females, and clowns have basically devalued themselves a lot.
Yes, but there's someone that's going to buy. Based on what I'm saying, there's someone that would buy banana clowns. I'm pretty sure, but they're not the target market, is what Jess is saying. She's saying
I
the target
sold a
market is
banana
pet, but they
clown
buy it to buy.
male to somebody as a pet only. She had no idea what a clown was. She was like, "That just looks weird and drippy." I'm like, "You're right, it does."
It
So,
does.
so she bought it, $200, and I was like, "Good for you."
Right.
She's never gonna breed it. She's like, "Nope, I just like to want." She said she likes to collect ball pythons that look weird.
And a banana clown looks weird.
To her, and I was like, "Okay, very good."
It's cool to me.
And it doesn't have to be bananas. Obviously, it could be other stuff. It could be anything. Bells, hypo combos.
Yeah, hides. Dreamsicles are.
Hides.
I thought you were talking about optimization because I was going to say, I'm like, well, the byproduct has changed. Like the pet market has grown now from 3 years ago. Dreamsicles are now in the pet market.
Yeah, so like you could just make dreamsicles first, just some combo dreamsicles, and then like you would just have dreamsicles to be pets. But what I'm saying is I had a lot of like I've sold a ton of triple het males this year as whatever. Normals, pastels, black pastels. I just delete the hets. But I don't it's not it would be better if they were in some ways, like now that I have my triple het females, I don't really want to sell triple het males as normals anymore. It's kind of worse, strictly worse than making a banana clown for the time being.
Yes.
Until somebody cares again.
Yes. Triple hets. Well, even like until someone cares again, triple hets have always been like. Justin talked about it. He's like, do you know how many quad heads or triple heads I put into like pet stores because he doesn't want to sell them. He just wants
Right.
to. Like,
I don't want to sell them either.
8 years ago, he's like, $25 normal. Get out of my house.
Right, but I think what people don't know maybe is that females are doing that now. Like double het females are
Triple hets probably too.
Yeah, triple hets. Like I have some triple het females. I thought about just not keeping them at all, just like whatever.
Yeah.
But that's new for this year because there was like a chance last year you could get a couple $100 for certain doubles. And there are still some triples now that are expensive, like a monsoon DG hypo triple would be expensive, of course. But you know what I mean? Of the common stuff. So you might as well do something different with them.
Right.
What's up, Jim?
Hello, Jim. So you believe in the catching the falling knife part?
I think there was a time last year where we just needed people to buy anything at any price because there was like a log jam in the market. There was no liquidity. And they were all just waiting for someone to buy their overpriced snake or whatever. And that's why we couldn't sell anything. But now we actually are moving inventory on auctions or on sale function.
Inventory's picked up. Like sales have picked up.
Right. The volume of whatever units sold is up. So I don't think people are as worried about it, but they're always hunting for like the super steal because they're worried about like.
Well, there's still people selling off their collections and downsizing and trimming. Like there's going to be big deals. Yeah.
Right. There's a ton of deals.
Yeah.
So many fucking deals. It's crazy. So that's why I'm like, well, maybe we don't need to obscure the price. We just admit that that is the price. Like, it's only hurting the like 3 people who don't follow morph market auctions aggressively to like pretend like the clown pride price is $900 still or whatever.
People like don't want to admit to things. You didn't talk about the dead cat bounce.
Yeah, we did. Dead cat bounce is where like as the stock goes down, it has a brief sort of bull
Uptick.
run before crashing again immediately, and people will start to buy it because they think they're buying the dip, buying the bottom.
Would you count that as the reason I want to go back to is because would you count that as the genetic stripe hype after the genetic stripe clown hype? Because people bought genetic stripe hoping it was gonna bounce back up, and it went right back to where it was, which is nobody gives a shit outside of the clown.
Yeah, yeah. I also think that they could be true for a whole species. Like,
yes,
sometimes
you'll see it coming up. All the ball python breeders that diversified into a bunch of other stuff, you saw a big pump into some species, and you're about to see them all kind of bounce down, way back to where they were.
Yeah, it's like
MBK did it, right? Remember when the Mexican Black Kings were $1,000 a female?
God, it's so stupid. It's incredible.
It's so stupid that people paid that.
And they're cool though. And so like when they were $40, that was underpriced. $1,000 was too much. But
now they're back to like
150, 200 is fair. So like that's
Yeah.
where they should have been all along. I don't know. Oh God. But I think you just have to watch out this in a more for a species because it looks like it's going to come back up, but it's got more to fall. And then you're just like, so that's why you should just always have had it to begin with.
Yeah.
And keep buying it and keep liking it. Don't worry about this part. But people will try to time this and be like, okay, I'm going to go get whatever. I saw a G-stripe clown on auction for like, what, I think it ended in like the 900s.
Sure.
Like, I'm going to get in right now and
in 2
I'm
years,
going to sell them all for $2,000. Like, this is my deal. It's on sale. It's going to get better. I'm like,
there's a reason why you got it on an auction.
Exactly. All right, this one is the hardest one to explain. Oh, fuck.
The market has no memory.
Okay, so
thanks, Shane. Pro tip from him.
All right, where are we? Where's the pro tip?
Shane.
Exactly. Don't do it. Okay. So the market itself has no memory, but human meat popsicles do have memory. They suck.
Yes.
They are like like if you go back in like old YouTube reptile videos from 4 years ago, there are a lot of strong proclamations. Even 5 years ago, like pied females will never be less than $400 because to me, in my experience, they've always been $400 for the last whatever 3 years preceding that.
I can get a lesser pied breeder female now for like $200.
You can get adult all pieds all day for $200.
Yeah.
So people have memory of price, but the market doesn't actually care what you think the price of anything should be because the market is just the collection of all sales of that item through time. And if there's a lot of supply, no matter how attractive it is, it will push the price down.
Correct.
And there could be very little supply, but also very little demand. And it is truly rare, but no one cares. So the price is not high. And so like you can pretend it's $800, $1,000. Nobody wants it though. So that's not the price.
I had this conversation with someone who did certain toads here in Canada, and they were like one of the first times it's ever been captive bred in North America. And she was having a really hard time selling them for like her $400 price point. And I was like, I told her, she took my advice and she dropped her prices, and she sold them all. And her and I were talking about yesterday. I'm like, yeah, but you didn't. I'm like, the one thing you didn't take to effect is like, yeah, they could be worth $400, but I'm like, you're creating a brand new marketplace. The prices are not going to be where you think they might be. You have to kind of build that whole hype around it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, yeah, you're right. She sold them all for $200 though. She had like 300 babies because toads are stupid. It's like,
yeah, that's a good deal. That's still
that's what I told her. That's what I told her. I was like, you bought the adults for this, and you're about to make this. Don't say no.
Right. So I struggle with this sometimes because I'm like, I know I could get $100 for this, and this person is selling it for 20. But there's always an imperfect relationship between different people's ability to sell things, like spatially, like temporally, skills. So just because you can sell it for that much doesn't mean they can sell it for that much. So it's the aggregate of all of those sales attempts in the hobby that
Yes.
makes the market price, not what you think you can sell it for or what you think it's worth, because all of these are worth almost nothing, like their commodity price, the end user price, which is the pet price anyway.
Right.
So
And just because you sold one for a certain price, it doesn't mean that it's really the
right.
price.
And then people, because they have price memory, they will hold on to prices that the market doesn't bear anymore way longer. Way longer than they should. So they'll be like, I need to defend the 150 inchy albino price till my death. I will never capitulate. I will keep them all until they're adults.
The
And you're like,
150 price.
if you just put them for 100, you probably would have sold them. And they're like, no, I'm defending the 150 price.
Well, back to that pie thing. I had arguments with people when when COVID started coming down. They're like, pied males should not be 250. Get out of here. This is the money that feeds my family. And I'm like, no, it's not. Get out of here. You have a real job. It's like, you're a liar. And I'm like, pied's been around for 30 years almost. It's like males, single genes, should 250 for a baby. I'm like, that sounds about right. Like, if you got that,
how about
now,
100
just take it and
in
run.
the
That's what I
States?
mean. And this was in the States. I was talking to the person this a couple years ago. I was like, just take it and run. Take it and run.
Yeah. And then, God, people can try different price points in different situations, like online at shows. Because I've noticed some shows are just more responsive to like, a 10-20% price premium over other
Right.
shows. It's not a lot. I wouldn't count it as price gouging. I just count it as like, this has a higher cost of living area. So
Sure, the demographic, just to change the demographic. Yeah.
yeah, that's all it really is. And some places are like, it needs to be $40 or I'm not buying it. And so you don't want to do a lot of shows there or whatever. And then Morph Market is
Right.
kind of the same way. Like if it's not the cheapest one, then it's not going to compete with the auction ones that are obviously happening
That's
at the
right.
same time. So,
and some people have way too many of a certain combo, and they got
right.
some bad luck. They got some good luck. Maybe they had too many of a gender, and then they set the price because they kept putting a new one up every week on auction. I saw a lot of Hurricane Clown males on auction. A lot.
Yeah. Well, they're not hard to make, turns out.
Turns out. People yelled at me for my prices.
And then memory of price can affect you like the opposite way. Like sometimes I'm reluctant to raise the price on something, even though it's in high demand for like ethical reasons.
I have a problem, but yes.
Yeah, because like, I don't know, a lot of those like spiky price movements are not going to last long, so they won't be able to sell it for that much.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I could get $50 more out of them or something.
Like, do you think prices should have gone up during COVID, or people should have, like, especially the consistent long-term breeders, do you think they should have held the prices being like 2019 was this? I need to keep my prices the same as 2019 because I don't think it'll be healthy for the industry beyond that.
I don't.
Or you think it's like a capitalist market, so it's like,
yeah, I think they had to do what they had to do.
It's fine.
I don't have to like them.
That's true.
I don't blame them for doing that. I just like now that they're like, oh, I made so many COVID dollars. I'm wiping my tears with it, but now I can't buy enough auctions. Where? I'm just like, cry me a river. Just sell it. Just go to a show and sell it. Shut the fuck up. Sorry.
Well, I know some big breeders used auctions when they first released, and they were unhappy with the prices they got on their animals. But I was like, those are probably okay prices. Like, they were totally legit prices. They just thought
I'm
they were
just
worth
like,
more, and I'm like, but the animal's sitting in your inventory. It's not, doesn't mean anything.
right. I think the big breeders are currently responsible right now for most of the price falls. It's not small breeders. They've all like gotten out and capitulated and realized that they're selling pets anyway.
It's true.
So
Who's left?
I don't necessarily think it's their fault, but like I want to see them go into shows battling mites and selling snakes for $200 because that's what the rest of them are doing. That would be nice.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I know the wholesalers aren't really buying as much as they were. So that's affected all that, right? Because then those bigger breeders are dumping stuff that they never had to dump before.
Exactly. But
into the breeder market.
Right. But then I guess people are allowed to complain about whatever they want. It's the internet. Of course they are. But it's just really rich coming from people that went full time, made millions of dollars supposedly, to now hear them complain about how they want to nerf like the mid-grade market as much as possible because they don't have wholesale outlets.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just real rich.
Yeah.
Which I think we have a slide about that.
I think we do. I think we need to I need to go look up those old proclamations on YouTube because that'd be fun to watch.
Like Zen Orc's old videos. This is the one that like comes to mind. You remember that guy?
No.
He's not even in the hobby anymore. It's fine.
That makes sense. I'll go look it up and be like, okay. Past performance is not indicative of future results. It's funny enough because that is something you say in the financial industry to customers.
Constantly.
Every time I sold a mutual fund, I had to tell someone that. Every time I talked to an investor, I had to say that. But everyone looks, the only thing you can look at is the history. Like, it's weird, right? You're not allowed to say that.
Yeah. But that's because the market doesn't remember yesterday.
Right. But the funny part is past performance is not indicative of future results, except we have 100-year, there's a chart, the index chart, right? The 100-year chart of all the different types of investments and where they went, right? Inflation's on there, everything. And you can see that stocks is up here and bonds are down here. And it's like, well, it's 100 years of this stuff. Like, how come we can't use the past to indicate, like...
Yeah, I guess what they're really trying to say is, like, for this particular product...
Yeah, that the last 5 years are not going to necessarily repeat, but over 100 years, it'll be fine.
Right. So, like, the whole system has not yet blown up, though it could. Alien attack, a little bit. But
we'll have Independence Day. Don't worry, we got Bill Paxton. We'll be safe. Jeff Goldblum's still alive. We're good. We're safe.
Is Bill Paxton still alive?
No. Was it Bill Pullman or Bill Paxton?
Bill Pullman.
It was Bill Pullman. He's still alive. Bill Paxton died. He's game over.
Game over, man.
Game over. Bill Pullman.
Paxton?
No, Paxton is from
That's
Twister.
not his name.
Bill Pullman, wasn't it? I don't know.
This is the hardest thing. Chat.
Where's my chat? We need like a Twitch.
Yeah, Bill Paxton was in Twister and he's game over, man.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Bill Pullman was the president.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry for the side quest there, chat. Bad movie reference. Don't hurt me. But yes,
nuke him from orbit.
Results. I do agree. I think that actually there are indications of future results. Go
ahead.
I was gonna say you can look at certain things, like one historical same thing in the ball python market is dark genes usually have a faster downturn than enhancement genes. Brighter colors will generally, the project will last longer. Dark genes always seem to plummet really fast and they kind of just peter out after, like in popularity.
Do you think it's because when they go to the pet market, people don't respect like the additive functionality of like 3 dark genes in one animal, but they would if it was like a vanilla scream OD?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I think brightness, we're talking like even just on the mid-tier breeder level, if a baby breeder's coming in, they're gonna be like, I want to make that vanilla scream OD. Whereas they don't care about a chocolate GHI mahogany.
Yeah, but they are
really
stupid.
cool.
That is clearly superior.
But you get my point, though, right? Like GHI,
Yeah.
like was it 15,000, and then like it was down really fast. Stranger was 15,000 and down really fast.
It wasn't down that fast.
Stranger
They price
lasted because
protected
Stranger
it
had
like
COVID.
a Mexican cartel.
But once it got too much to like you can't control it anymore,
Right, it was too
went
loose.
down faster compared to like other genes that are brightener genes, right? There's more popularity to it. Like bananas, like gene, it was better than any of them.
Yeah, even though it fell really hard, it is the most evergreen morph I know of. Even maybe more evergreen than pied sometimes. Because people will buy a banana over a pied.
My hot take is the banana morph was its own Black Swan event. It really rocked the market.
Yeah, what about Mimic?
We'll see. Too early to say anything.
Too early. I don't know what's going to happen. Aaron says, I think some people don't realize how much they will have to constantly upgrade and they want to take profits before they can collection to where it can keep up the price shopping. We have a slide for that. What frustrates me is when 10 big breeders produce 10K BP a year wouldn't cut back breeding because one, they didn't produce 100K BPs a year, didn't. Because one that produces 100K BPs a year didn't. Right. There was a lot of like hand waving.
But to be fair to those breeders, it takes a lot of eggs sometimes to hatch a $10,000 ball python. They don't all do quad to quad pairings to get that. So it sometimes they end up with like, let's say 40 eggs to get the one $10,000 snake. Now they got 39 byproduct.
Yeah, listen, I think it's going to be hard. I think if you go back to like one of the first or second stock reports, I said like big breeders are going to be the cause of most whatever's because they have to pay overhead.
Yes.
They have employees, they have overhead. And so like it will be mostly their fault because you as like a guy or gal with 12 clutches, you can hold on to them much longer and easier. Take him to a couple shows, whatever.
Right. But the other part about that, the big breeders are also taking the money out of the snake economy, right?
Right.
If they make $1 million, doesn't matter. They make that money. Like you said, they have employees and stuff like that. It's paying for the employees. It's paying for their mortgage. It's paying for their car payments. It's paying for whatever. That's not money that's going back into snakes. A lot of smaller breeders have other jobs. So their snake money goes back into the snake economy.
Right.
Snakes
it keeps
circulating. It keeps circulating. Whereas the big breeders are taking it out.
So you're saying that the bourgeoisie needs to be dismantled.
Yeah.
We should set up guillotines. I'm kidding ish. Right, money goes up. But that's the problem is we've rigged the system right now such that nobody wants to invest in mid-grade.
Money can go down if we actually stop buying from the big guys. Money doesn't have to go up.
I think money should go laterally for a while.
Yes, laterally. It doesn't have to go down. Down's hard. Because generally a baby breeder doesn't always have something that someone else wants. But you can go lateral.
Yeah, lateral's fun. It's my favorite, frankly. And trades are fun.
That's lateral to me, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the other part of this that I think about sometimes is like people sometimes are like, this species will be this % of the market forever because it has been this % of the market in the past. And I'm like, that's not fucking true. You don't know that. And people say this about ball pythons. They're like, oh yeah, they're the perfect size. They're a good pet. Yes, they are. But that does not mean that they will be the same percentage in the future as they are now.
Because I say ball pythons say hi because don't forget, they were a throwaway snake. And corn snakes dominate the breeder market, right? Burnhams dominate the breeder market.
Right.
And that stuff is minuscule compared to ball pythons now. Boas you could argue boas were, the same size as ball pythons at one point. And
yeah, I think boas were the ball python of the late 90s.
Yes, I agree.
Now they're not.
And like even some of my wholesalers I was talking to, and they're like, I have a really hard time getting corn snakes because everyone sold their corn snakes to buy ball pythons.
Mm-hmm.
just like you talked about, people got out of doing stuff. So like she's like, I have a hard time getting corn snakes. I told you, I was looking for reverse Okatee corns up here and I can't find them.
Right. And then like leopard gecko people will
I
tell
found
you
it, yeah.
that their position in the sort of hierarchy of shows and online and like bourgeoisie-ness is basically not. People still like leopard geckos. They're still pet leopard geckos. They're still wholesale leopard geckos. They're still high-end leopard
But
geckos.
they lost market share to
They
all
lost
the
a ton of
Rackedaculus.
market share. Yeah.
And then they even lost some to all the African fat tail morphs that came out.
Correct.
Bearded dragons have lost a lot of their market share in general.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see as many of those breeders at shows anymore or hear about them as much, right?
So even though ball pythons are perfect in many ways, you cannot for sure 100% know that ball pythons will be the number one only best pet in the future.
What if they move to like CITES 1 or 3?
Yeah, that would be like the biggest way.
That would be they'd be dead.
Yeah.
In Canada, they would essentially be dead.
I mean, some people would still like them.
That's true, pets. But all the big breeders would be dead.
They wouldn't.
They can't sell anymore.
Right. I think that's very possible. I think it's also possible that the tiny gecko sort of terrarium in your home movement could literally pound for pound just beat all big snakes. By big, I mean just bigger than 2 feet sales. Because like that's a huge part of the market. You go to the youngest keepers, they're all like, I just want lesbian geckos. I just want lesbian geckos. And I want one hognose to boop its snoot. I don't want to breed it. But I will breed these lesbian geckos because they're in like a little terrarium.
Why do you call them lesbian geckos?
Because that's what they're called now. It's its own thing. And so you go to a show, everybody go look up Leafy Street's YouTube channel. How many fucking millions of videos does he have about lesbian geckos? Millions of views. A lot.
That's right, Lisa. Yeah. Does he really call them lesbian geckos? So like now they're a thing.
They aren't lesbians, but they do scissor. So take some, lose some. So like if all big snakes collectively can't effectively compete in a market with cool bioactive terrariums of tiny geckos or snails or isopods, all big snakes will be less important in the future. And by big, I just mean bigger than a bamboo rat snake, like 2-3 feet, because they will be less good at being in a bioactive. So like even a ball python would fit in that category.
Yeah. Especially with the keep pushing, bioactive gets bigger and bigger every year, right?
Yeah. I mean, it is what is appealing to pet people the most right now. Like, I want a tiny terrarium with a jumping spider that doesn't cost that much. It's very aesthetic. I have a little pet that dies in 3 years. And my commitment is not...
I won't even see it when it does.
That's a good sales pitch to a pet person right now. Tiny mantis. You know what?
That last 90 days.
I'll spoil everybody. I was across from a tarantula vendor this way, and I was listening but not talking because I use my little ear holes. And he told the coordinator or somebody that he did 7,000 at the Repticon with 2 tables of just like some fucking little tarantula slings.
We have a tarantula person, Tarantulas Canada. They breed a lot of stuff. They probably import stuff, but they always want to captive breed the animals. They want to facilitate captivity. They make a killing off slings.
Yeah.
3 for $90, 3 for $90, 3 for $45. Like they're not really that cheap anymore. They're like $90 each now, but 3 for $90, just throwing slings out, and you have 1,000 slings out of one female a year. You get a lot. You make a lot of money from little pill bottles.
Right. It's very like space. I don't know. I obviously like snakes. I think little things are fine, but I think snakes are way cooler. But we could be the dinosaurs of our age, right? We could be like, I don't know, like the mainland retic keepers where we're like, ugh, too much.
We're now the Burmese pythons. We're now going to be the burn. Although Burns took a strong, they came back. So.
Sort of.
They got more, so they got more popular, but they're not really what they were.
They're
That's a
still
dead
like a
cat bounce
rare.
right there for you.
What?
That's a
Say that
dead
again.
cat bounce for you, right there.
Yeah,
Burmese
berms.
pythons.
Sorry, berm keepers. I think they're cool. They're still my favorite big snake, but
They are my favorite. Big old puppy dogs.
okay. I asked you this on the phone or at some point. So the 4% safe withdrawal rate is when you have like an asset pool. They like went back in time and figured out over different 30-year periods, if you withdrew certain amounts through time, which one would still leave you some of the
the whole principal.
It wasn't the whole, it's just some of it left. Like you didn't deplete it completely.
It's supposed to leave the principal, except for downturn.
I think it's more like 1.5 if you want to leave the whole principal.
But it's 4%. I don't know if that's gross or after tax, but yeah.
Whatever. But the question is, you have a collection of meat popsicle snakes, and you are like, I've invested for 5 years, I've reinvested all profits, proceeds. What is the amount of money that can actually be withdrawn from the snake collection that doesn't go back to any sort of snake purchases that pays your mortgage and your lifestyle, that actually allows the snake collection to endure indefinitely? Like it cares for itself, it buys its own upgrades, and it sort of refreshes whatever the different species. It maintains holdbacks. And I think that number is higher than people think it is.
I think it's like 30-40%.
Right. Or maybe like more. Like
it could be more.
You need more snakes, more infrastructure just to get 30 or 40%.
Right. But I mean, if your snakes are 70% is staying in the business, you're only taking 30%. I don't think that's terrible. Because if you made $100,000 gross revenue, not saying you could survive off 30,000. I'm just saying that. Do you think it would cost $70,000? That should get you a couple good males. It should pay for your food. It should pay for all your supplies and stuff, right? You can even take up more. You might be able to go 50-50.
But don't you think?
Because
at least in the Morphe species, you probably need almost a full purge and reset every.
You'd have to be mindful. You'd have to
3 or 4
that
years.
wouldn't be consistent ever for 30. You couldn't do that every year. I think you would have to change it every now and then. But part of that would be also your holdbacks, right? Because that kind of allows that number to go higher.
Yeah. Sometimes I think though, holdbacks are too slow. Because someone in the marketplace will have made it better than you somewhere. So if you really wanted to be competitive, you would hold nothing back and only cherry pick the best from across the entire hobby. But then your cost basis gets insane again.
I find it difficult. I've thought about that. I think holdbacks being free is just too valuable, because you don't need to put out a capital expenditure, regardless if you got money in, right, from buying your snake, from selling your snakes, right, and then you buy one really good snake. I think the holdbacks are also going to give you a lot of stuff. It's going to give you a lot of genetics and a lot of stuff in a project that you can't find. Even in 3 years, you just may not get it, because you can't bank on everyone else doing every project you want.
That's true.
Especially as you go up the tree of more uncommon genes and you're trying to climb that ladder, people just aren't in the same projects all the time. Also,
it's just been like wild sometimes, because I'm like, most of the things that I would want to hold back now aren't going to be worth anything in 3 years. Anyway, even if they don't exist now.
But the other part is that snowball effect, right? So I know some people have talked about it. You can, when you want to make more money, it's when your babies start producing from you as well. Your holdbacks start producing for you, right? Because essentially it was free. It's whatever the food cost was. So the money coming in is almost 100% profit. You don't have to make up for a cost. And then if you get those babies back, it's just that much better.
Right. And I agree. I'm just like, sometimes holding, Like I have this problem now where I'm like, do I hold back more or less stuff in this market? I could probably buy better stuff for
I
the
think
same
oh,
price,
I
basically.
think that's variable depending on what it is and how important it is to your projects. Like I would probably, and it depends on what you think your budget might be in like 2-3 years, right? Because the other problem is, I know some people hate buying new snakes because you have to rely on that other person's snake to like get up to size. Where people that just hatch their own, those animals generally thrive better.
Yeah, I hate buying new snakes because it costs me extra money, like for disease
Right.
testing and whatever.
Right. So you have your extra, call it $500 on top of your purchase price.
Right. And I quarantine longer than most people. I go
Right.
breed them after like a week. So that's my problem with it, but it's just hard right now. Aaron says there should be a point where you're buying a few upgrade males and keeping your own females. That
I
is
do
a
think that's
strategy, but
important.
I sometimes think that strategy is too slow.
Yes, because you need your females to keep growing every 3 years, right? Whereas you can go out, sell off your female as a baby, and then in 6 months possibly buy a yearling, and you're already like ahead.
Yeah, like if you, I don't know. It's more like the Aussie method in some ways. Like if you were always getting rid of breeder females, even if they're good, viable breeders, you would need them to be substituted sooner so that your floor rises faster because your females don't rise very fast. But then, like, it's part of the problem of us not valuing female ball pythons
Which is
in
ironic.
general.
So weird.
Right. It's just complicated. Like, I just don't think, I don't know what I think currently. It's a little bit confusing because I think in ball pythons or in other species, you really need, you can't just withdraw 4% from the asset pool safely. You need to withdraw, you could probably withdraw a little bit more, but you need a really big pool of possible income to cover all bases that could happen to the collection, including a downturn.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a lot of that COVID money shouldn't have been reinvested immediately. It should have been squirreled away.
Were people really saying keep your normal females in the COVID?
Ew.
That's true. Those people are crazy. Crazy.
I mean, but if it was different then, like you could imagine a world where you could breed, I don't know, something to it.
Stranger.
A stranger, or remember when acids were like $1,000 each for a couple of years in a row because they were like the expensive but cheap codom at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So you could buy like an acid combo and breed it to anything and have a couple of easy, expensive babies.
Still crazy. Because like normal females are like same price as a Mojave, really realistically. So you might as well just keep have a Mojave or whatever, an Edgy.
Mm-hmm.
They'll do the same thing. But you have cooler animal coming out.
All right, read this one, Aaron.
The market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. That would be accurate.
I think about this one all the time. This is a Rudyism. I don't know if anybody knows who Rudy is, but it doesn't matter if you don't. If you do, you're in. You're in the club. But people use a lot of leverage during the panda times. A lot.
Yes, but yeah, leverage is dangerous.
And it's obvious how it's dangerous in like whatever you're trying to short stocks using like leveraged,
like
collateralized, whatever bullshit, betting on other people's
legalized
bullshit.
gambling on stocks. That's all it is.
So we aren't doing that, hopefully, but people were betting that they could buy like a Powerhouse male for $10,000-$20,000, put it on their credit card, breed it that season, make enough money, pay it back. And even if that male was able to breed successfully, had lots of babies, if you're running into a bear market right after that, you could pay it back, but you're going to be like climbing uphill those credit card.
The interest rate will eat you.
Yeah.
The carrying cost of that, because you can do the carrying cost, like leveraging in like actual investments. You can get an investment loan and you just carry the carrying, like you just pay the carrying cost. So if it's 3%, you pay 3%. So if it's $100,000 loan, you're only paying $3,000 a year. It's not so bad. But if the market tanks, you have to pay back principal, right? That's what they do, right? Because you secure it against the investment. In ball pythons or in snake or reptiles, it's not really possible. You kind of do it, right? But your snake kind of depreciates pretty quickly. Like it doesn't really work. And then you're just paying off a credit card of $20,000 when your snake is only worth 10. You can't even sell the 10 to pay back the 20.
Right. It's like buying a car with like a really expensive loan. Like there's obviously utility in the car and the snake, but the snake is devalued well beyond whatever. And I don't think people could have listen, it wasn't typical to devalue this hard, this fast. Like everyone sort of knew the snakes would go down 10% a year or something.
Massive.
Yeah, fucking 80%.
But I have a friend that bought a stranger clown male for $16,000, bred it, and then sold it for $12,000, and then wait for the eggs to hatch and got a bunch of whole eggs and sold off a bunch of babies.
Okay, that's high risk, high reward. But like in this market, it's like the people who hold the bag at the end. Like they took the long shot gamble at the end of the market cycle are the ones that are hurt the most. If you did that with cash, though, you would still be hurting, in terms of like depreciation, but you're not hurting in terms of like, I can't pay back this loan, this small business loan, this personal line of credit, whatever, this HELOC on my fucking house, because this year's sort of a wash year where I can sell babies, but I'm not really making a lot of money because they're not in super high demand right this second, no matter the species, really. So like that's why leverage is powerful in both directions. And I think there was a lot of encouragement for people to like buy a better male right away.
I know some people that said all the way through COVID, just buy, like spend your credit cards, do exactly that. They said, just go out there and do anything you can, get the next animal, upgrade, leverage whatever, get it. And that's assuming that the market was never going to change.
Right. And this particular saying is like the market could believe something is not valuable at all longer than you can stay solvent. So like, that's why it's the market being irrational. Like you might love, what are we talking about? Doom rolls. You're like, doom rolls are the best. I'm going to invest in a $40,000 doom rolls breeding program. And I'm going to the moon doom rolls, tendies for everyone. But the market could be like, and you honestly believe that doom rolls are 400, the market tomorrow says they're $50. And you're like, there's no way they're $50.
Right.
They ain't coming out of Madagascar anytime soon. I'm going to hodl my doom roll army, but you just have to wait with all your leverage until the market decides that you're correct, if they ever decide that. So that's why, like, be careful.
Yes. It don't matter if you're right or wrong. It doesn't matter if you're right. The market doesn't give a shit.
Right. And then maybe the market's right and you're wrong.
That could be it, but I'm never.
They weren't irrational at all. Just like fucking game stocks or whatever, right?
Also, there were people that made money on that who didn't decide that they were so smart they can do day trading. There's like whole things on YouTube about them, and it's like there's interviews with them. And they're like, "This is hard." It's like, yeah.
Well, that's why you need the freelance diversification, because just because you're accidentally correct once, it actually doesn't mean you know what you're doing.
That's why you need my 10 course on FG on.
This is the buy-in.
We'll show you how to buy ball pythons.
Yeah, there's no courses. It's all free. Also, we don't know what we're talking about, and don't believe us. So, oh wait, I have a banner for this.
You have a banner to sell fake courses.
No, for
fake guru. I'm pretty sure you do.
I have the opposite of a fake guru selling.
That's courses. Right. The fake guru thing.
Yeah, fuck them. I think using credit's okay if it's something like if it's a snake you can pay in 2 months and you just want it to carry your balance over for a month or whatever.
Or if you have a good job that you can, carry, like it's not an issue, stuff like that. But there's enough people who have no money that did that.
Yeah. Yes, there are ways that a responsible adult can do it, but most people, especially going into a down market, should not be leveraging. They should have been leveraging in 22, and they shouldn't be leveraging in 23, and they shouldn't really be leveraging now.
Right.
In my opinion, you should just be buying what you want to buy.
And
Oh, it's blurry. What a crock of shit.
Oh, no. Well,
how'd that happen? Whatever. I'll read it to you. It's so blurry. Cattle and cow inventories through time. Why is it blurry? It's so weird. Well, anyway, I just wanted to show that there was peaks and troughs in cattle inventory in the United States. As like producers would be like, cow prices are too low. They would like cull females. Then they're like, we need more cows. And then they would keep back more heifers, breed more.
Same thing, right? Same concept.
Yep. It's a 10 to 12 year cycle in cows. Maybe 9.
But yeah.
Something like that. And the reason why that happens is just the life cycle of a cow and how long it takes for like, oh, there's a drought, so maybe we need more cows. And then there's like capitulation with some breeders going out and whatever. But pretty normal cycle. Here's another fun cycle. This is the lynx snowshoe hare graph we've all seen in college about 14,000 times. At least I have anyway. So obviously like black is lynx, yellow is hare. So any of these like sigmoid curves where stuff is responding to something else. So the population of lynx responds to the population of hares, but then there's too many lynx and the hares drops and then it repeats forever. That's what we're doing right now. We have sort of supply over chasing the demand. And so obviously the price falls, but then like the number of breeders and wannabe breeders, hopefully they like rehome females into pet homes, non-breeding homes, terminal placement homes. And so then those females are pulled from the breeding pool and then the breeding stock goes down. That's the dream anyway. And we could have like a normal supply demand relationship anyway. So much in cattle. Sorry, it was blurry. I just put it in here for fun. How do you feel about it? Who do you think is the real bottom? Who's a power bottom?
Who these people are.
Fucking Naruto. All right, whatever.
Yeah, I knew that much, but I don't know who any of them are.
I've heard a lot of people claim that the market has already bottomed and that this year is way better and everything's perfect. And I'm just like, my brothers in Christ, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, but here's how I think the market will have. It's like getting better, right? It is better. Wholesalers are buying common species again.
They are not.
So it's not better.
They're not. That indicator is not quite there yet. But the problem with that is some of the pet stores are just getting free snakes dropped on their doorstep still, so they don't want to buy anything. Sorry, I cut you off.
What did they say? Say that again. My brain's
pet stores I know of, they don't want to buy wholesale ball pythons because so many people said, I just don't want my snakes. I bred my snakes. I don't know what to do with the babies. Here, take all my babies.
So they're waiting for freebies?
They're just getting freebies, yeah.
Still, doesn't matter. If wholesalers are buying, that means they're getting so few freebies.
Correct.
It's happiness. And they are buying some common species, but I know some of them are even limiting corn snakes or whatever. They're like, I only want 25 at a time instead of 500 at a time or whatever. So like when they're all buying, I will know things are better. When there are multiple going out of business sales, 50% off sales at every show. And I think the people that don't do shows are like, there's a little bit of sales on line. Wrong. There's a brutal bloodbath at almost every show. What do you think of that bullet point? You don't do shows particularly.
No, but that's real even online. Even if I don't see it, I know it's happening. I see them all. They're always one on Kijiji. There's always one on Facebook, at least weekly. The weekly someone's getting out of business. Right.
When it shouldn't stop altogether because people should always be getting out of business and getting into business.
Attrition. There's always attrition. There's natural attrition, yeah.
Yeah, because they're whatever, divorce, whatever. That's some of it's fine. But like this last show I went to, there were just within eyesight of my booth 4 50% off sales with signs. So that's a lot. That's a lot.
People want to sell their snakes.
I know they do, but like, it's a lot that that many people are that desperate. I don't know why my video went away. Wait, it's coming back. It's coming back.
It's struggling.
All right, whatever. Who cares? All right, the enshittification of shows reduces. And for me, enshittification of shows is just like there's less fluff, less vendors that don't have anything to do with reptiles there.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
Maybe less. The sales are better on reptiles there. Like, sometimes you can go to show, you sell like 2 or 3 of the cheapest ones only.
Right.
And then you're like, well, nobody wanted some that are like $50 more. No. If people are willing to splurge a little bit on a slightly nicer pet more often, that's when I'll know it's better.
That's fair.
I don't know what's up with my video. Bullshit.
We can hear you just fine.
Okay, good. All right, we're back.
We're back. We got you.
The number of adults for sale online and in person goes down to like the normal amount. Because do you think it's an abnormal amount right now or a normal amount?
It's abnormal. It has to be. Like, there is a normal attrition of adults, but it seems like I'm trying to sell some, everyone's trying to sell them, and I don't get any interest.
Right. I would like to sell mine. I would sell them for like $50. Some of them, because I just don't care, but nobody else cares either all at the same time.
Right.
Marshall says they were busy, saw one at Tinley, and they didn't seem busy.
I think he's asking, were they busy? Were the people 50% off sales at the shows? Were they busy?
So one of the Crested Gecko ones was.
Well, it's Crested Geckos.
But there was other Crested Gecko ones that weren't, and I'm like, I don't know what the difference is. Yes, vending is hard. It's just different. It's different. Are they desperate or accepting the price adjustment? I think some of them are keeping old pricing, 50% offing, and then like pretending it's a deal. Like, because I'll spy it. Right, I'll spy their prices or whatever and be like,
they're saying $400 for a pied male, 50% off, so it's $200, right?
Right. So that's a strategy. And sometimes it's like maybe an okay, like a banana for $150, and then they 50% off, and it makes it $75. Which maybe in that market, that's a banana male price. So like maybe that price is fair, but like who are you fooling? But the most naive of us anyway at that point.
Right. Because isn't the other 3 tables down the row also have bananas for $75 already?
Yes.
But maybe the sign caught their attention, so
I know, but like that's what I'm saying. It's like it's the same problem with using the auction function and the sale function on Morph Market to obscure the price of the animals. Only the most naive will then go buy them at retail price.
Yes, or that some people have been fudging with what they posted for, and then put it up for auction because then they're going to see, because when you link them, it gives you the original sale price.
Mm-hmm.
So if people see it's, oh no, this snake is worth $3,000, I'm going to bid it up. That doesn't actually happen.
And I know why people are doing it, because they think they're preserving the market. But then I think the problem with you people is you don't believe in capitalism. Like, you don't believe that people will look at a product and together determine the sale price, and the person who wants it the most will pay the highest price that they can bear. That's what we're doing. We don't need to pretend like things are different prices than what they are. They will go up or down later anyway. It's just,
but they're just hoping to get every dollar they want. Essentially, they want a sucker. Every sale they want a sucker. Essentially,
that's correct.
Yeah.
So I don't do sales. I just be like, okay, if I think this animal is worth $40 to me, and I would like it to go faster, it just stays at $40 until it sells. I've just demoted it to $40 if it was originally $100 or something.
Right.
And the final key indicator that the market is turning is auctions go away. Yes. At least most of the way, not all the way, but So the people are like, yeah, the market is fucking great. I don't know what universe they're living in. Maybe it is great for them and they're trying to make people feel confident. But I'm saying you don't need to feel confident. You just need to buy stuff that you like for a price that seems fair at the time and like it and keep it and breed it. What about that?
Yeah.
There's one more slide, I think. So someone selling something for a lot of money somewhere is not a sign
signs of a market turn.
Right. I love this. It was a while ago. They're like, somebody just sold a DC clown combo for $26,000. And I was like, who cares?
That doesn't mean anything.
That's good for them. They probably liked it, but that doesn't mean anything. And then one show is good somewhere. I've had some really great shows this summer, but it's very like stochastic, hard to predict. And then someone just says it's turned because they think it has. They don't have any evidence. No data.
I'm right. Just remember that.
I'm stuck again.
You're stuck again.
That's all. I think that's it.
I think that was it, wasn't it?
Oh, no, there's one more. I lied. I'm wrong. The market will have turned for a while by the time there's any data that it's turned, because it's like a lagging indicator.
And that's why you can't time the market, because you'll already miss the big upswing by that point.
Right. By the time you know it's awesome and wholesalers are buying ball pythons again, a lot of
You're not producing enough.
Yeah.
Like the other people who kind of just kept producing are going to capitalize on all that stuff because they have all the animals. It's a very odd.
Right. But I don't think people should keep producing. I think people should get rid of stuff they don't like or whatever, you know?
Yes.
I just think the people who like sideline females instead of get rid of females, like don't breed them, just like put them in holding, like feed them every 2 or 3 weeks. Don't pair them. In some ways, that's a better position to be in, waiting for the next bull market than getting rid of all of your females.
Sure. But there's people that just don't want to keep feeding that animal or taking
that, and that's fine. But some people are getting rid of stuff, and maybe they're right what they're getting rid of, but they're just getting rid of everything.
Well, that's different.
Or like all of their recessives are gone. They're just double recessive only, and I'm like, is that too much? And they're like, well, no. I don't know. Just a lot. There's a lot of like, if people wanted to sow certainty in the market, just saying the market is awesome is not enough.
Well, it's true. It's not. Well, if Justin said it, do you think people would believe it?
If Justin
said, we're back. Buy all my stuff.
People like him a lot, but like, I don't. Yeah. You need to prove that we're back with data. I don't believe anything.
But whose data? What if he uses his own data? Is that good enough?
Then he's back, not you. Okay. And not me.
I'm just asking.
No, I don't know. A lot of people, I don't know if you've noticed, but a lot of people are like doing videos in Asia and sending snakes to Asia.
That's always been happening, to be fair. That's been
right, but I think
for a long, long time.
Some of those people like Justin and maybe other larger breeders are courting Asian markets to try to bring as much inventory there instead of here as possible.
Correct, but except for the fact that they're starting to breed over there. So when that happens, it's just like Europe, right? Once they've established their own breeders, the market becomes more competitive and they have to start dumping in their own countries.
Right. So the better answer is to
curate a better market here.
Right.
Because you have to come back to it. You can't get rid of it.
Find infinite pet people and get them their first pet snake. And then 1% of 1% of those will want to be a breeder, maybe.
Right.
Aaron said nothing went anywhere. I guess breeder wise. Things never stop selling either. That's not what I'm saying. I think there's there was a point.
Demand. It just was a price point, right?
Right. So the units sold when Darian released them were the same.
Yeah, they were. He hasn't released that anymore.
He hasn't released any for like the current year. It's just, it's taking more and more to get people to want to buy the same snakes with more and more discount, right?
Right. And people didn't want to, like, to that point, if you were okay with the prices dropping, you would never stop selling. But the problem is people didn't want to admit to the fact that Dreamsicle males were no longer $2,000.
Right. So if you go on Morphbreaker right now, there's a bunch of 22 and 23 animals that are priced fantastically.
Yes.
Let's put it that way. Even 23, like post whatever, stuff has been listed in those morph categories, sold under them, and that maybe is the price or something like that. And those people never updated pictures, never capitulated on price. Is that the price? Clearly not, right?
Clearly not. What are we coming back from then? Well, there is more popularity. Like the demand did go down, in particular the pet level, because the wholesalers stopped buying stuff.
Right.
So that meant that they were overloaded, which means their pet stores, like Petcos and PetSmarts, were not buying stuff. So it means that they were not selling stuff. So the pet market was, honestly, pet market drives so much of this, and nobody understands that. A lot of people don't understand that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, the demand. I think people who are already in the hobby want to buy more snakes and like snakes, right?
Yeah.
You're just like, I want more and better ones, and I want to sell mine, and I want to get more, and keep breeding and having fun.
It's a forever cycle.
Yes, it's just we haven't been selling enough to John Q public as a whole industry to like fuel the whole machine the way it's supposed to be.
And for those that are buying at that level, they have such a massive amount of choice now for their pet snake in all the various different things. It's a very competitive market, right? Right. The Dreamsicle people now are vendors. So now you got Dreamsicles to compete with. Before it was Ivories and Bells and whatever else. More lavenders, lavender, more clown stuff is in the pet market, right? DG stuff is technically back in the pet market. All that stuff is, super asphalts are now in the pet market. And if you put that against a normal in a pet store, it's going to sell. Those things are crazy looking.
I think a lot of people may just be struggling economically, completely unrelated to the reptile market. If people have more money, they'd buy snakes. That is true. I agree.
Yes.
Which is why, if we reduce production at parity with the reduced demand, we wouldn't have had as much price drops. Because that's how that works. So, the price drops will continue while people feel the need to sell it harder than the need to keep it. But there are probably some people with enough money that could afford to buy it at the old price, but now they won't because enough people can't afford to buy it at the old price. You might get canceled for that.
Well, I don't know how you phase out male heads, but there's some not so nice ways. I just mean you can't not produce them.
Oh, for $420? What the fuck? That's crazy.
I think he's ticked off some people with that, but
it's a little complicated.
It doesn't work in Canada, so the fuck do I care?
Yeah. All right. Do we have any other thoughts about how reptiles relate to the financial wisdom market facts?
Well, people that do their own investing suck at it, and people that do their own ball python breeding suck at it too.
That tracks. The problem is there's no buy and hold strategy with livestock.
There's not. It's different.
Yeah, because
you have to feed it first of all.
Yeah, the margins are too much. It's definitely an active process.
Yes.
It's not I don't know,
You
like
can't just wait for the stock split.
like a lumber, if you like go get a tract of land, put and plant it for a particular kind of pine tree, it'll be ready for harvesting in 40 years. That is like the most bond-like investment thing. That's a living thing possible, because you're just like, bye trees, see you later.
Right.
But everything else is obviously like market-based and has overhead, and you can't hodl just all of them indefinitely, even if you like all of them. So you have to make choices about holdbacks and which species to keep and which morphs to keep working in which direction.
Right.
But I do think people think about the snakes sometimes too quickly. Like, their life cycle for ball pythons and a lot of the bigger snakes is longer than 6 months. So people will change their minds about everything in 6 months, in a year.
Correct.
They'll be out of the hobby before their first set of holdbacks even bred.
That is very common.
I was like,
which is, yeah. What do you think, before we go, which idiom do you think applies to reptiles in general, or ball pythons the most?
Sorry, say it again. I was reading this insane word for Will.
I read that too.
I was like,
which of the financial terms or phrases we went over today, which one applies most to the reptile industry?
I don't know. I like, for me personally, personal ethos, time in the market beats timing the market. Like, trying to figure out what the fuck people want in the next year is dumber than just having snakes that I want.
I think longevity in this market, that was the one that came to my mind too.
Yeah. And like, if someone's been in the hobby for 10 years, they just automatically, no matter what species they're selling, they just have way more street cred right away.
Yes.
You're just like, oh, cool. It's a 10-year veteran. He's made it like through 3 cycles.
I survived.
Yeah, and that's for like all species. It's just way cooler all of a sudden. You have more contacts, more wholesale contacts. So just getting through down cycles is just way easier for someone who's been in it longer. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, it's true. But you also just won't panic, right? It'll just go through. You don't have to panic sell. You don't have to freak out. And you suffered through not even just those, the simple things that we have is bad years, low years of production. Like, has nothing to do with the economy or the market. You just had bad odds, bad years, whatever it might be. And if you get through those, like, usually you bounce back up, right? Because that gets a lot of new breeders too, by the way. Having a down year, they've never gone through that, right? The COVID breeders, that got rid of a lot of COVID breeders. I'm just coupled with the pricing, them not getting the good odds anymore, destroyed a lot of COVID breeders.
There's a lot of people who say there aren't very many COVID breeders left, but then sometimes I think there's still a lot left.
There's still a good handful left.
Like, a lot of them are now post-COVID breeders. They got in maybe like 22 last year. But a lot of them are hanging on longer than I think they would have in other cycles. What do you think of that? I wasn't there, so I don't know.
Say that again.
Like, more COVID baby breeders are persisting longer than baby breeders in other cycles because of like social media. They're like, well, I'll just hang out with my friends on the internet.
I don't know. Because part of that could just be that there's more of them. Because every time you come out, like, the industry's always grown. The last like 20 years, the industry's always grown. So there's more breeders, more everything. So is that just a natural growth of seemingly more people sticking it out? I don't know.
Is that good?
Well, I would think so, yeah.
I mean, it's what part of the problem is not everybody in the market can be a breeder.
Right.
Oh, a large part of the population needs to be a keeper.
But there are, we talked about that, the pets where people are keeping more and more. So like they are keeping.
Yeah, and that's good. I think the trends I see are that they're not keeping ball pythons right now. Like it's less of a trend.
Yes, that's also partly because I've seen people say, well, I keep ball pythons, I breed ball pythons, but if one of my friends came and said they want to start keeping ball pythons, I'd ask them why this and tell them to go deal with another species. And I'm like, why are you shooting your business in the foot? Like, because you have 3 snakes and you breed 3 snakes? Okay, that's fine, but I don't know how you can say the market sucks, but then actively make it suck by not letting people buy stuff.
Do we need a
We have
bar
too much
check?
inventory. We have too much inventory, but don't buy anything because the market's down.
Well, yeah.
Do we need a bar check? Yes.
Yeah.
Bar check, they put up all on the website. They put up on BHP Reptiles, Brian's Breeders, right?
Mm-hmm.
All a bunch of stuff that Lori doesn't want to keep anymore. Like, he kept the ball pythons breeding because he liked it. But if you look at all his breeders, it was all geared towards his YouTube fans. All of it.
But that's fine.
No, that's totally legit and totally fine. But that's what I'm saying, because he could sell pet ball pythons like nobody's business.
Right.
Through his channel, right?
Well, you would need somebody who is like him again to like.
The closest we have right now is Snake Discovery. That I
She doesn't breed ball pythons. It doesn't think people should breed them.
No, she has hog noses. She breeds.
Yeah.
She breeds those, and then she stopped.
It would be snakes. Bob. Bob is the closest one.
Bob who?
Bob Bledsoe.
Maybe
pythons.
Maybe Jason Amos is pretty good, but he does a bunch of different species. But he's more towards breeder to not pet to.
Jason Amos.
So Jason Amos.
He doesn't have a YouTube channel.
It's not Amos. I don't know. Somebody. Anyway.
Who are you talking about?
I don't know. I gotta go.
There's Jason's Exotic Reptiles who does boas, but he doesn't even.
Yeah, him. But I thought his name was Amos. Maybe I'm.
Jason Amos is Amos Reptiles. He breeds ball pythons.
Close enough.
It's okay. Yeah, I just think there needs to be a new charismatic ball python person.
Mike Wilbank had a reality TV show, so maybe he wanted to do it, but he couldn't get it. Didn't work.
They're all talking about shipping in chat.
Yeah, they're all talking. Chat's going back and forth about the shipping market.
Right, Bob doesn't breed a significant volume of animals, and he doesn't have to. It's more about the promotion of the idea of keeping a particular species.
Correct. Same as Brian. He stopped breeding a lot of stuff.
Right.
Like, you may have thought he brought a lot, but he was buying stuff.
Like right now, I think the snake people are being outgunned by gecko people in general, because it's really aesthetic. There's all this like plants and shit, and you can
the bioactivity is better. Like the enclosures are better.
Yeah, just on a raw aesthetic. You want to have a TikTok about it? It looks cooler to talk about your dumb planted tank. It just is cooler. Period. So they're gonna outgun us, and so when you go to a reptile show, eventually you'll be in the minority. Unless we have somebody who's like, but you could have a pet you can hold. You talk about the benefits of holding your pet instead of having it just be like a little worm squiggling around in a thing.
Right. I do think Brian Barczyk was good for the industry. As much as people say otherwise, I think he was good. He brought in a lot of people that you could go back to his old videos. There's lots and lots of people who say I was afraid of snakes till I saw him, until I saw your channel, then I got my first one.
Mm-hmm.
And that is exactly how it starts, right? He was dispelling fear out of the general public. And I mean, he did a good job because when he passed, national news stations picked it up.
Mm-hmm.
And local Michigan was all went nuts about it, right? So he obviously did something right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, oh God, I don't know. It's hard to tell what should happen, and there's a lot of negative PR for people that breed a lot of things, including ball pythons, but crested gecko, anything common where people just get mad at you, like fuck you. Why would you breed that? It's there's 5 in my local rescue over here.
Breed my super rare, aggressive, whatever that I like. I want to see it at a show on the table, but I'm not gonna buy one because I can't own it.
Right. If you go on like ball python, like the ball python for Reddit, it's very anti-breeder of any number of ball pythons.
I just refuse to go on Reddit, so I don't like it. I go there every now and then, but like I don't have the.
I used to go there more when it was cool and not flooded with elderly people. Just saying.
With elderly people?
Yeah, I feel like it's a bunch of weirdos. It's not even like Gen Z. It's like just like bots talking to each other. Am I starting a vlog? I think only for maybe reptile shows. I did it somewhat poorly this time, but I think I like vlogs about like events. To me. Like I like to watch people go to like anime cons or whatever, and they're like, "Oh my god, I did anime NYC and I made $5,000. It was so fun, and I got to meet my friends." I don't know. Right. That gets me excited for them.
That's good. More forges, right? It doesn't matter if they breed or not. Need someone, just a good pet tuber to bring people in. I agree.
Right, and I don't think you can convince Snake Discovery to do it because they're already like team. There's too many ball pythons. Yeah,
but I'm like they're the closest influencer to bringing in people on that scale. They're the only ones I know. Usually Wickens, like Adam Wickens does a pretty good job too, but he's
getting ready. He's just now he's selling off most of his fucking stuff again.
Yeah, but he keeps saying that. I don't know what he's doing, but it doesn't matter. The point is Snake Discovery and Brian were like, you got to see the inside of these zoos and these places and these facilities. It's different than Adam Wickens. He does a lot of lists and stuff, right, which are nice, but it doesn't do the same thing that those other two are doing, right?
Mm-hmm. They're still talking about shipping.
They are.
Yeah, they bred them on accident. No, on purpose, but then they used the banana spider on accident.
Oh, they screwed up the genetic. They put a male in when they shouldn't put him.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Right. They don't have to be ball python breeders, but I think if ball pythons want to survive as like top #1 pet, they need to have public advocates for the keeping hobby and the breeding hobby.
I personally think that that ball pythons are going to be very hard to topple off the top pet snake.
Maybe, but maybe what I'm saying is all snakes will decline.
Agreed.
In a bioactive tiny gecko world, if they take over.
Yeah, I'm surprised crescent geckos but okay. I always thought crescent geckos were more popular than. I always thought snakes were secondary. No matter the species, that snakes are always secondary because they don't have feet. So people just don't like snakes. So like they just refuse. Crescent geckos, in my opinion, have got to be the #1 pet reptile, right?
I think it depends on where you are. Like if you're in a pet store, like what's selling at a pet store, it's different than number of units sold at a reptile show versus number of units sold on Morph Market.
It's got to be crescent geckos. Got to rival close to ball pythons.
I think bearded dragons is still in charge, and turtles.
You think bearded dragons are in charge?
Listen, Paul released like the pet store data. He had like the actual number of units per.
Did he?
Yeah. And I was like, what the fuck? Turtles, tortoises, like ball pythons was like number 10 or something.
Yeah. Turtles, reindeer sliders, man.
Bearded dragons. Like people will go buy one bearded dragon and be like a happy one pet home forever.
Yes.
Potentially.
Yes.
Yes, you are late. What the heck?
Yeah, they had a lot of talk about shipping. I don't know what's going on, but
they're having fun. My feelings on it are complicated. I think I've kind of talked about it already once, so it's fine. I won't talk about it anymore. But yeah, viper geckos.
Viper geckos are very cool, but then a 10-gallon tank. That's the problem. You need bigger. Leopard geckos need 4x2x2. A viper gecko needs like a 2x2x2. 10-gallon tank even close to that. That's pretty close.
No, I just mean like there's a universe where we are all outcompeted by that kind of stuff. So like that could be happening anyway. And there's nothing anybody can do about it, no matter how good of a pet a ball python is or a corn snake.
Right.
So,
Right.
which will be fine. It will be fine because we're gonna endure.
We will endure. It'll be great. I'm interested in the shipping debate, but I think it's over, so we can go now.
Yeah.
Give them the platform to argue. Got the hits. Got the engagement.
Thank you. Hell yeah. Well, thanks for coming on. I don't know if we learned anything. Did anybody learn anything?
We learned that I'm always right.
Hell yeah. Suck it. We also learned that I don't know when the member live is this weekend. Somebody sent me a message. It could be Friday, but that's literally, or Saturday. That's literally tomorrow. So maybe I'll just make it Monday for fun. I don't have a show this weekend.
Wow, that's weird.
I know. I'm so over it. I'm ready to
so
like take pictures of snakes and sell them on the internet.
See how that goes.
Hell yeah. Oh God. Oh my God. I did have a conversation with a pet store lady at a recent show, and she's like, I can no longer sell dry goods at a pet store. I'm like, damn. That sucks. Because like people would price match Amazon or whatever.
Right.
In the store.
That's
and then
brutal.
she's like, I can only sell live animals, really.
That's brutal.
And I'm like, well, all your margins used to be in your
dry goods
because you like you kind of sell the leopard gecko cheap, get them to buy the whole setup.
You buy the whole setup and get like a free leopard gecko, pretty much.
Yeah, basically. And she's like, yeah, it doesn't work that way anymore. And I'm like, damn.
Really
that's why she's at the reptile show selling live animals and like competing against it. And I'm like, what the fuck would you have a pet store then? There's no reason to have a retail space.
Right. Now just be an online store. Like that's all you can do. Just that's crazy.
Yeah. Shit's changing is what I'm saying.
Shit is changing.
So unless the pet store was like a bioactive vivarium central with like plants and stuff where it's like an event to go pick your plants and
build. There's not one. Nelson's almost got that. That's almost here in Toronto, but I wouldn't be surprised if that happens more. Like this is just a bioactive pet store.
Correct. I mean, Flora Fauna is like that. It looks very cool. We love it. 10 out of 10. But I'm saying like maybe that's all pet stores because they can't sell the cage and like the fake alligator skull made out of resin
for $300.
Right, for enough money anymore that it feels special because people can just comp all that on Amazon. So like the market's going to shift anyway. And where do snakes fit in that? I don't know, but keep it in mind. Keep it all in mind. Yeah. If it's something I would sell for $50 or less, yes. Hell yeah.
Still wait for my $5 wholesale corn snakes, Jessica.
Oh my God. I just need to take pictures of them. If you just want some
wholesale lot,
I'll just send them.
Yeah.
I'll just send some.
Yeah.
Because you were like, I want Miami Tesseros. And I'm like, okay, I didn't actually make that many because I didn't use a Miami Tessera sire.
That's what I want, but it's fine.
I have some. I just don't have a lot. And then I'm like, okay, I'm waiting for them to eat five. I don't know. It's complicated.
I was going to sell them to my pet stores.
I don't know. There's been a lot going on. I've not forgotten, though. You know? All right.
It's all right. It's no big deal. There's always next time. All right. Bye, people.
Bye. See you later.